I like to ring that to get all the people from the foyer settled in their chairs. The values and love at the heart of Unitarian Universalism call us to reflect on the ways that white supremacy culture has shaped our history and our lives. We recognize that CVUUS gathers on land seized from the Western Abenaki people by European colonizers. As we gather here, we pay honor to the Abenaki people, their ancestors, and to their future generations by committing to build a more inclusive, just, and respectful space for all. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Abby.
Welcome to this Sunday service at the Champlain Valley Unitarian Universalist Society. CVUUS exists to spiritually nurture, challenge, and sustain people of all ages and circumstances so that they might lead lives of meaning, integrity, and service. Whoever you are, whatever your beliefs, your origins, your way of seeing and being, you are welcome here. I'd like to draw your attention to the Black Lives Matter quilt, as if I needed to draw your attention to it. Designed and created by Dorothy Mammon, who is sitting back there at the tech station right now, and hung this week in honor of Martin Luther King's birthday. If you are new to our community, we encourage you to sign the guest, it's not a book anymore, the guest card in the lobby, so that we might get to know you better and offer opportunities for engagement through our weekly email news update. If you have a milestone or a passage in your life, a joy or a particular sorrow you would like to share, you may do so with the yellow card that looks like this, just outside the double doors in the middle. And if you have a need for support or know of someone who does, which our Caring Network might help with, you could find a pink card in the same place, as well as a confidential envelope to place it in for the Caring Network. There's also this lovely pink mini brochure that tells what services that our Caring Network can provide for you. My name is Abi Sessions, and today it is my pleasure to serve as worship associate for one of our ministers, the Reverend Christina Sillari, as we explore today a topic which many of us go to great lengths to avoid: death.
Good morning. And a warm welcome to those joining us virtually. Our opening words are from Mark Nepo, from his book, Book of Awakening. Nothing escapes the Creator's cycle. Not plants, horses, trees, birds, or human beings. Each soul is a gust of God's breath, unfolding in the great energy that surrounds us, like an ever-moving stream. The goal is not to cheat death, but to live in the stream with humility and aliveness that only acceptance of death can release. Thin and fragrant petals do not hide from the wind. They survive to die and break ground again. Even within one life, we shred and reroot. We break, bleed, and rearrange into yet another beautiful thing that learns how to reach. Resisting this process doubles our pain. Singing our way through is a source of wisdom and beauty. So let's sing. Hymn number 1001, which is in the teal hymnal, and it's called Breaths, and it's on our screen.
As Katie lights our chalice this morning, let's say together some of the millions of words that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said that stick with us in our hearts and that we hear over and over so many times because they were foundational, really, I think, in how we think about doing social justice now. So join me. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. So, wait, maybe this is going to work. You think it's going to work? There was sound coming out of it. I just want to lift up that I chose for the Time for All Ages to show a video today that has sound. Usually when I do videos, it's books and I do the words. So video with sound is not something we do a lot. And it's maybe the hardest sound thing we do for some reason. So the group back there has spent a lot of time trying to get sound to successfully come out of the screen. So if we get it, I just want, I hope you'll find them later and say thank you. I mean, the people who do the sound and tech stuff for us are all volunteers who pivoted when COVID came and very quickly learned how to do things that even most of the techie people didn't know how to do. So it's really a pretty huge thing. All right, what do you think?
Elected officials think, oh, how cute, but we are serious. Although I'm not old enough to vote, we can tell our leaders what we want. My generation, I feel like we're into these issues, and so it's almost like a mosquito bite, and you know how you just want to itch it? That's what these issues feel like. I was never able to get to know him, but to me he is a human rights giant, and when I was younger I didn't understand too much of the significance of him.
Her uniqueness is not she's Martin Luther King's grandchild. Her uniqueness is who she personifies as Yolanda Renee, with a desire to care about making the world better.
I listen to my parents and what they say in interviews, and I kind of take that knowledge and I want to use my platform for good. I want to make change. Adults and like total, because they are great individual adults, have failed us. You know, they say, oh, stay in school and we'll get these issues sorted. Or one day, but they don't do anything. They just watch and hope that there'll be other people that will just do the job for them, and they just watch people.
When she was 8 or 9, when she spoke at March for Our Lives, I was thinking about what I would say if I was speaking. And so I would have spoken about we must have better laws, but we have to respect the Second Amendment. Well, she went far beyond and put something in the universe that most of us as adults would not say.
I have a dream that enough is enough. And that this should be a gun-free world, period.
Wow. Drop the mic.
My grandfather talked about different levels of love. The Greeks had these levels of love, and the highest one is agape. Agape is the highest level of love, and that doesn't mean you have to love them like a friend or, oh, I love you so much, but you love them as a person. I think that's so important now, and so it's a skill I am trying to, I'm still navigating through now even, and I'm still learning that now, because sometimes people just make me so upset.
What I've learned from her is that even as a child, you can make changes. And through watching her and watching her matriculate every day through life, I'm learning that of the power of our young people. Did you know you taught me some things?
Yes.
Oh, you know it.
I didn't know. Did you take anything from it, though?
Of course.
I just want to lift up one moment. There's many moments I could lift up. I want to lift up one moment in there that makes me think about our kids here at CVUUS who are in the religious exploration program, who are part of our community and don't come to that program right now. Which is, she said, adults are great as individual people, but adults as a whole have failed us. And I want to put out to the adults in the room that I hope that as our kids are looking at us, that is not what they will take away from this community. There's an old joke about Unitarian Universalists, I mean, not a joke exactly, but that says something like, a UU was out with friends and met someone who said, "Oh, you're a UU, so what do you stand for?" And they said, "Oh, I don't stand for anything, I move." So I will leave you with that as the kids and I and the other RE leaders move over to the Fenn House, where we're going to celebrate Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, which this year actually falls on MLK Day. He would have been 95 if he were still alive. And we're going to think about the dreams that we have in our hearts. Sometimes the dream in our heart, Matt, is a dream for the world. Sometimes a dream in our heart is a dream just for ourselves, right? We want to learn how to roller skate or sing in a band or whatever. So that's what we'll be thinking about today. We're going to leave singing Peace, Salam, Shalom. The words are up there. That's it. It's just Peace, Salam, Shalom. If you want to sing harmony, please do. And if you don't know it, just wing it and sing something. All right, my friends, let's go.
At CVUUS, as is done in many other Unitarian Universalist congregations, we share our offering with local, national, and worldwide organizations which represent our values in the world. This month, we are sharing the plate with a variety of organizations within the Unitarian Universalist world. Today, half of our offerings will support UUA Rise, the Refugee and Immigrant Services and Education Organization. If you can imagine arriving in this country with nearly nothing, often perhaps after decades in a refugee camp, not speaking our language, you might be able to imagine the level of need that UU Rise fills. Please be as generous as you are able.
Thank you for your generosity. This is a time in our service for milestones and passages, which some of you have written on these yellow cards. Okay, all right. So this is from Bethany Barry. Is that the last name? Bethany Barry. Thoughts of love and caring to Jackie, George Devoid, the sudden death of their son, Niles, on New Year's Day. He was 38 with a 5-year-old girl. Son. Did I say son? No, he was 38 and he has a 5-year-old girl. No, oh, it says, oh, son, right, sorry. Oh, love to Bethany and her family. Marnie Wood. Those of us who attended the gathering of remembrance here Friday evening found it a very special sharing of the lives of our loved ones. Thank you for the positive energy and presence that we experienced. Yes, it was very powerful Friday night. Cass Singh, please add my uncle Les Ross in your hearts, and if you do so, prayers. His spouse, Barb, passed away unexpectedly last Sunday. So, prayers to Barb and to Cass. This is from Ellen Flight. Yesterday was my nephew's 26th birthday, his first since his father, my brother, died in June 2023. He celebrated with friends, and I'll have dinner with him tonight. Where's Ellen? Yeah, thank you, Ellen. Let's just take a moment to be in our hearts and send our thoughts and prayers to the people mentioned here this morning, and to anyone we know that needs our thoughts and prayers, anyone who is suffering. And I invite us to shift our attention and honor a moment or a few moments of silence for all of the war, death, and destruction occurring in the world right now, especially in Palestine, Israel, Ukraine, Yemen, to name a few. Sending our thoughts and prayers to the people in those places. Amen. And blessed be. So today's service is about death. And this service came about from the Caring Network and our decision to make my week here, because I'm only here 1 week a month, that we focus on death. Which is why I'm not preaching. It's very odd to not be preaching about MLK. I think I've done that my whole career as a minister, and that's okay. So we're going to start with a meditation, and the meditation is scripted by Thich Nhat Hanh, and it's called Looking Deeply into No Birth and No Death. So it's a little challenging, so I want us to prepare. So I invite you, if you're comfortable, to uncross your limbs, sit up tall, either close your eyes or gaze downwards. And let's just take a few breaths together. I invite us to take a deep breath in through our nose and exhale with a big sigh. I can't hear you. Deep breath in again. Oh yeah. One more time. Thank you. And just start witnessing your breath. Simply bringing your awareness to your nostrils and watching the breath move in and out of your nostrils. Feeling the coolness and the subtlety of your breath. Breathing in. I know I am breathing in. Breathing out. I know that I am breathing out. Breathing in, I am aware of a wave on the ocean. Breathing out, I smile to the wave on the ocean. Breathing in, I'm aware of the water on the wave. Breathing out, I smile to the water in the wave. Breathing in, I see the birth of the wave. Breathing out, I smile to the birth of the wave. Breathing in, I see the death of the wave. Breathing out, I smile to the death of the wave. Breathing in, I see the birthless nature of the water. Breathing out, I smile to the birthless nature of the water. Breathing in, I see the deathless nature of the water. Breathing out, I smile to the deathless nature of the water. Breathing in, I see the birth of my body. Breathing out, I smile to the birth of my body. Breathing in, I see the death of my body. Breathing out, I smile to the death of my body. Breathing in, I see the birthless nature of my body. Breathing out, I smile to the birthless nature of my body. Breathing in, I see the deathless nature of my body. Breathing out, I smile to the deathless nature of my body. Breathing in, I see the birthless nature of my consciousness. Breathing out, I smile to the birthless nature of my consciousness. Breathing in, I am only aware on my in-breath. Breathing out, I am only aware of my out-breath.
Good morning, everybody. I just want to say a quick word about today's choir anthem. This is a song that's in our teal hymnal, actually. How could anyone ever tell you? You are anything less than beautiful. This is a song that the Wellspring hospice singers often sing for hospice patients who are actively dying. And that is why I wanted to share it with you all today. It's a very tender song. And I just wanted you to have that thought in your mind as we sing it for you.
I think we don't hear that song often enough. When Death Comes by Mary Oliver. When death comes like a hungry bear in autumn, when death comes and takes all the bright coins from his purse to buy me and snaps the purse shut, when death comes like the measles pox, when death comes like an iceberg between the shoulder blades, I want to step through that door full of curiosity, wondering, what is it going to be like, that cottage of darkness? And therefore, I look upon everything as a brotherhood and a sisterhood. And I look upon time as no more than an idea. And I consider eternity as another possibility. And I think of each life as a flower, as common as a field daisy, and as singular. And each name a comfortable music in the mouth, tending, as all music does, toward silence. And each body a lion of courage and something precious to the earth. When it's over, I want to say, all my life, I was a bride, married to amazement. I was the bridegroom taking the world into my arms. When it's over, I don't want to wonder if I have made of my life something particular and real. I don't want to find myself sighing and frightened or full of argument. I don't want to end up simply having visited this world.
Thank you, Abi. Thank you, choir, for that song. So death is an uncomfortable reality. The postmodern world sees death as separate from life, as an enemy of life. And this generates fear and aversion. Philosophers, theologians, and mystics perceive America as a death-denying culture. We notice this in movies, advertising, technology, medical practices. We see it in the way we treat the earth and the way we perceive and treat our elderly, the terminally ill, and people who choose to take their own life. Most of us don't like talking about death or thinking about it, especially our own death. Do you think about your own death? I see some heads nodding. I wonder if it's a certain age. Oh, there's a young person saying yes. How can we not, right? Are you afraid of dying? Are you afraid of dying, or are you the process of dying, or afraid of being dead? Process. I mean, I'll just say a little secret that I'm afraid of being dead because I am afraid of not being conscious. It's important that we don't wait until the end of our life to reflect on our death, which is why the Caring Network facilitated a death workshop on Wednesday. Some of you went. It was called Final Gifts, and why I'm exploring it with you today. It's my job as your minister, as one of your ministers. So bravo to each one of you for showing up. Not an easy Sunday to show up. Maybe some of you came and didn't even know what we were going to talk about today. Maybe you thought, oh, it's MLK Sunday. Death is quite simple. We breathe out and we don't breathe in. That's death. Our attachments to people in the world and even ourselves, as well as our fear of the unknown, make death difficult. So what are you attached to? I already told you what I'm attached to, my own consciousness. What are you attached to? When we deny and avoid and fear death, we actually are not living. I don't want to end up simply having visited this world. Sometimes it is a loss, some of you have experienced this, that catapults us into realizing that we have not actually been alive and that we want to be. A few years after her younger brother John died from AIDS-related complications in 1989, poet Marie Howe wrote him a poem in the form of a letter called What the Living Do. The poem is a description of loss and living beyond loss. What the living do. Johnny, the kitchen sink has been clogged for days. Some utensil probably fell down there. And the Drano won't work, but smells dangerous. And the crusty dishes have piled up, waiting for the plumber I still haven't called. This is the everyday we spoke of. It's winter again. The sky's a deep, headstrong blue, and the sunlight pours through the open living room windows. Because the heat's on too high in here, and I can't turn it off. For weeks now, driving or dropping a bag of groceries in the street, the bag breaking, I have been thinking, this is what the living do. And yesterday, hurrying along those wobbly bricks in the Cambridge sidewalk, spilling my coffee down my wrist and sleeve, I thought it again and again later when buying a hairbrush. This is it. Parking, slamming the car door shut in the cold, what you called this yearning, what you finally gave up. We want the spring to come and the winter to pass. We want whoever to call or not call, a letter, a kiss. We want more and more and then more of it. But there are moments walking when I catch a glimpse of myself in the window glass, say the window of the corner video store, and I'm gripped by a cherishing so deep for my own blowing hair, chapped face, and unbuttoned coat that I'm speechless. I am living. I remember you. Her brother's death seems to leave Marie Howe cherishing the mundane world and her own imperfect being. Do you cherish the mundane world and your own imperfect being? As human beings, living in this three-dimensional, mundane, middle world, things fall apart or do not go our way. We get sick or depressed or feel lonely or downtrodden. We have a loss, yet each day we are alive is an opportunity to notice and appreciate the winter's deep, headstrong blue sky and the beams of sunlight coming through the windows. Our longing for our lives to be free of mistakes and failings is a longing for some future unattainable state. Although we must, as Mark Nepo says, learn how to reach. In some ways, our continuous reaching keeps us alive. So what are you right now in your life reaching for? To live in the stream with humility and aliveness, we must do what the living do. We must live. So here's a really important question. What makes you feel alive? To really live, we must celebrate and cherish ourselves, one another, and the earth. We must praise the world every day, no matter what is going on, because one day, this world will be out of reach. When Martin Luther King Jr. asked his spiritual friend and teacher Howard Thurman what the world needs, Thurman said, "Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go and do it. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive." I think Dr. King followed Thurman's advice because he followed his passion and came very much alive and changed this country. So what makes you come alive? If you are willing and able, I invite you to share. Thank you, Liam. You practiced this last week, didn't you? Your answers or thoughts. The answer to what makes you come alive with someone sitting close to you. If you don't want to share, just close your eyes and ignore everyone around you. Seriously. And if you're on virtually, you can share maybe after the service with each other on Zoom. Go ahead. What makes you come alive? Go ahead, Abby. Go talk to him. In his book, The Tibetan Book of Living and Dying, Single Rinpoche, a world-renowned Tibetan Lama, says there are two things that count when you die. One, how we have lived, this is obvious, right? But how we lived with or without regret, with or without kindness. Not waiting until the end to take an inventory of our lives. And two, our state of mind. How much we have let go of attachments and aversions, how much we have kept our hearts and minds pure and open, or as Mary Oliver suggests, how much we look at everything as a siblinghood. Regret is poison to the soul. What regrets do you have? What regrets do you hold in your mind or heart right now? What will it take to let them go? Can we wrap a blanket of kindness around ourselves? Arriving at our lives with no regrets takes practice. In some way, our entire lifespan is practicing dying, the letting go of one attachment after another. From the time we are a babe, we say goodbye over and over and over again, right? To the nipple, to crawling, to our parents, to our childhood, our adolescence, our virginity, our innocence, schools, communities, religions, a pet, people, addictions, a home, a career, a marriage, our strength, our sex drive, our hair, our hearing, our vision. All of it goes. I'd love to tell you a story about my grandmother, but it's not appropriate for the pulpit. So what are you saying goodbye to right now? We're all letting go of something right now, and how are we managing that? Can we wrap the kindness around ourselves as we let it go? We don't know where or when death will come. It could come this afternoon. So we have to wait for it everywhere. Because to practice death is to practice freedom. I have been practicing death since I was very young. I mean, out-of-body experiences, seeing my consciousness not part of my body, led to, rejecting, Christianity and finding reincarnation in Buddhism and Hinduism and yoga philosophy and, lying in yoga nidra, practicing dying. I used to tell my students, now you're practicing dying when you're lying at the end. And then shamanic work, where I have had post-death journeys, journeying beyond my own death. Fascinating. One time I was trapped during the COVID years when I was on my computer all the time, every day. My post-death journey, I was trapped in AI. It's funny but scary. And then diving into religion, does religion have the answers? The monotheistic religions promise an everlasting life, if you behave well. Salvation. The Eastern religions, reincarnation, rebirth, all of that. But as Unitarian Universalists, we're not super satisfied with these theologies. We like to figure it out on our own. We don't really have a theology of death, an eschatology, which is a fancy word for the soul's path when we die. We are brave, right? And curious and open to the unknown. Or are we? My fear of death began when I was in seminary, when I had to be forced to explore death and dying. And now I notice it emerging during some inner or outer change in my life, or when I see awful events happening in the world. But when I stay present and I step through the doors of life with curiosity, things are easier and I feel more alive. Meditation has probably been the best practice of dying. When I sit on my cushion, it's really a seat for death because it's like a little death just to go and sit there, because I have to let go of everything else. I can't do anything else except sit there, and it brings up fear of death. right? But when I sit long enough and I can find those places that are empty and full, and, my desire, I can witness my desire to move away from the nothingness, right? Because remember I said my consciousness, I want that to stay. So in the meditation, my consciousness begins to expand and I start to merge with everything, and then I become terrified, right? I love how Kabir, an Indian poet and mystic, a child of a Muslim family of weavers, sees death. Friend, hope for the guest while you are alive. Jump into experience while you are alive. Think and think while you're alive. What you call salvation belongs to the time before death. If you don't break your ropes while you're alive, do you think ghosts will do it after? The idea that the soul will rejoin with the ecstatic just because the body is rotten, that is all fantasy. What is found now is found then. If you find nothing now, you will simply end up with an apartment in the city of death. If you make love with the divine now, in the next life, you will have the face of satisfied desire. So plunge into the truth. Find out who the teacher is. Believe in the great sound. Kabir says, when the guest is being searched for, it is the intensity of the longing for the guest that does all the work. Look at me, and you will see a slave of that intensity. So who is this guest? Who is the guest for you? Maybe the guest is not something outside of ourselves. Maybe the guest is us. It's the essence of who we are. It's that spark. It's that desire to be alive. It's everything that makes us feel alive. When we see ourselves as the guest, when we see our own reflection in a window or in another, we have an opportunity to weave the worlds back together. Water and wave, body and mind, heaven and earth, good and evil, life and death. When we see ourselves as the very alive guest, we are more likely to understand that now is the time for salvation. So let us practice death by taking inventory of our lives, by letting go of what is no longer needed, and offering ourselves and one another the greatest kindness. Let us practice death by doing what makes us feel alive, and by cherishing ourselves, each other, and our mundane lives. And if we are brave, we can take some time each day to sit in our death seat and do nothing. Be nothing with humility and curiosity. Let's sing. It's a traditional hymn, Abide With Me, 101. to keep standing for the closing words? You can hold each other's hand. I'm going to mention Jesus, those of you who don't like that, I'm just warning you. Our closing words are by Miriam Williamson. "Death shall be the last enemy," said Jesus. What he meant was that we would no longer perceive death as an enemy. We would recognize that death is not death, but a recycling of energy, a remodulation of the cells according to higher alignments in a soul's progression. The spirit does not die, but rather enters a new channel of life. Chapters end, but the book of life never dies. So I have one very long announcement. Please be seated. So we're hosting a stewardship event. And I'm not going to get into what stewardship is. Many of you think about it as money, and it is somewhat about money, but it's how we steward each other and the congregation, how we basically survive and thrive. So we have a consultant coming. His name is Mark Ewart. He's coming next weekend for the whole weekend. And we're really excited about this. He's doing a program called Next Steps. Reverend Tricia and I have been talking to him. We talked to him on Friday, and to tell him our impressions of this congregation, and he wants to hear all of your impressions. So there's been time scheduled for the leaders of CVUUS to meet with him, but and those of you who are leaders, you hopefully know by now when that's happening. But anybody and everybody is welcome to come to these open events. And those are next Saturday from 2 to 4, right here. And it will also be on Zoom. So that's one time you can come. And the other, that's when you can share your thoughts with Mark. Mark isn't preaching next Sunday, but he will be here at the service, and then he's going to stay and do a little talk afterwards when he's going to share his perception of us and what he thinks we need to do moving forward to help us thrive, okay? So the two times are Saturday from 2 to 4, either on Zoom or here, and then Sunday after the service, and that will also be on Zoom. And he really wants to get a broad view. So even if you're not a member and you're new here, you've just been coming, we'd love to hear from as many people as possible to give Mark the best sense of who we are as a community as possible. If you have any questions about this, you can talk to me, or you want to stand up? You want to come up? Carrie, our awesome president. So Carrie and I can answer questions about this event. Also, Mary's back there doing sound. She may or may not stick around. She's back there if you want to talk to Mary too. And who else? Oh, yes. Priscilla and Steve. No, you're not in on it. Priscilla knows a lot about what's going on. Yeah. Okay. And now Carrie has an announcement, and then we'll have our postlude.
Thank you. And I should just say that I'm so thankful for Priscilla and Mary, because as we started planning this weekend, I recognized and very, very clearly noted, I can do many things in life. Event planning, not one of them. so thankful. That's been such a gift. I'm actually here to talk about another gift on behalf of the board. I'm really excited about this, and I want to start with just a little bit of background. So in the spring, last spring, we started to call an interim minister. As many of you know, Reverend Barnaby was with us for a number of years, and it was time for him to retire. And we had considered this traditional path, thought maybe we'd be on this traditional path, but we're in a time of change in our world. and in ministry. And we had the gift, and I really do see it as a gift, to chart our own path when we called an interim minister and didn't come up with the right match. So we decided to explore contract ministry. And Reverend Christina and Reverend Tricia decided to experiment with us in this contract ministry as part-time ministers and help us figure out what our next steps look like. And it's been a pretty exciting journey, I will say, as a board member. We've done a lot of exploration of, what does ministry look like? What does leadership look like? What does shared ministry look like? What does shared leadership look like? And so it's been very exciting. One of the things that we explored is, do we need a 1-year interim or a 2-year interim? And we consulted with the UUA on this. Reverend Christina and Reverend Tricia weighed in on this. We really think we need a 2-year interim and that we need an interim period. So my thrilling news is that Reverend Christina and Reverend Tricia have let us know that they are excited to be our 2-year interims. And yes, yes, I'm very excited. And the board enthusiastically supports this. And now we're working with the UUA to chart this new path. So more details will come. Nothing's set in stone yet, but I'm so excited, and I'm excited for our congregation to try something different. Thank you.
That was awesome, Ronnie. Thank you. Have a good day. Please join us for coffee hour downstairs. The board is hosting it, right? And I will see you next month.
We can unmute ourselves.
All right, I'm unmuted. Are you still there, Steve?
I am. I'm hearing you. I can go punch a little ask unmute to everybody.
Well, thank you very much. You know, like there are times it's very frustrating during the service. There are times when the sound is quite fine, like with Poppy, and then there are times when the choir was singing, I couldn't hear